Life will test you. Hard times will come. People will hurt you. Things will go wrong. But here is the truth: nothing outside you has the power to break you. Only your mind can give that power away. The key is simple: master yourself, master your thoughts, master your reactions. If you can control your mind, the storms around you cannot touch your peace. When someone insults you, it is not the words that harm you. It is your anger or hurt that gives them power. When life takes something from you, it is not the loss itself. It is your fear or sadness that makes it heavy. Understand this: the world is as it is, not as you wish it to be. Accept it. Respond wisely. React calmly. Focus only on what is in your control: your choices, your actions, your thoughts. Everything else is beyond you. Do not waste energy on it. Do not give it your peace. This is freedom. This is power. Life will continue to throw challenges at you, but if you master this one thing, your own mind, then nothing can break you. Nothing. No failure, no insult, no misfortune. You remain unshaken, calm, and strong. Remember, your power is within. Guard it. Train it. Live by it. Nothing outside you can destroy it. The first step to true freedom and strength is understanding that the world outside your mind is largely beyond your control. The sun rises and sets without your permission. Storms rage without your consent, and people act according to their own desires, not yours. To waste your energy trying to change these things is to chain yourself to disappointment and frustration. What is truly yours, what is truly within your power, is your mind. Your thoughts, your judgments, your decisions, your reactions, these are yours to shape. Master them, and nothing outside can dominate you. Fail to master them, and even the smallest inconvenience can disturb your peace. Every moment you feel upset, anxious, or angry, examine it closely. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If it is not, release it. The barking of a neighbor's dog, the careless words of a stranger, the failures of someone else, these do not belong to you. They belong to the world. Yet you carry them as though they were chains around your shoulders. You allow external events to dictate your emotions, to dictate your energy, to dictate the quality of your day. Why give away your power? Why hand the reins of your mind to something that cannot truly own you? The mind is a garden. What you plant, it will grow. If you plant anger, resentment, or fear, those will take root and spread. If you plant patience, clarity, and calm, they will flourish. When you realize this, it becomes clear that controlling the world is a fool's task, but controlling your own mind is the greatest work you can do. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending hardship does not exist. It means meeting reality with the strength of a mind that does not surrender to every passing wind. It means seeing challenges as opportunities to practice restraint, to exercise reason, to act with wisdom. Consider how much of human suffering comes not from events themselves, but from the stories we tell ourselves about them. A traffic jam, a rude comment, a lost opportunity, these are neutral events. They carry no inherent weight. The weight is in the judgment we place upon them. If we can control our minds, we can choose to see obstacles as small, manageable, even instructive. We can choose to respond with calm, with strategy, with dignity. We can prevent the outside world from writing the script of our emotions. Training the mind takes effort. It requires constant awareness, patience, and discipline. It requires noticing the first stirrings of irritation, the first whispers of fear, and saying to yourself, "This belongs to the world, not to me. I will not give it power over my inner life." Over time, these small practices accumulate. The storms of life will come, but you will stand unmoved. You will face hardship without panic, criticism without bitterness, and loss without despair. You will discover that the mind is a fortress, and when it is mastered, nothing outside can breach it. Many people spend their lives chasing control over the uncontrollable. Wealth, reputation, other people's opinions. They exhaust themselves trying to force the world to bend to their will, only to find that the more they push, the more resistance they encounter. But those who turn inward, who direct their energy toward mastering the mind, find that the world's turbulence no longer dictates their experience. The river may roar, the winds may howl, but the still lake of the mind remains calm. They do not hope for circumstances to change. They know that the only circumstances that truly matter are those of their own making. Control your mind, and you discover a freedom that cannot be taken from you. It is a freedom immune to fortune, immune to insult, immune to loss. It is the power to remain unshaken, the power to respond wisely, the power to live fully, even in the midst of chaos. Emotions are powerful, but they are not inevitable. They do not strike you like a lightning bolt from the sky. They do not belong to fate or fortune. They arise from your own judgments, your own thoughts, your own interpretation of events. Every feeling of anger, fear, sadness, or frustration comes from within, shaped by the story you tell yourself about the world. If you understand this, you realize that you are never at the mercy of your emotions. You are always in charge of them, whether you recognize it or not. Most people believe that life happens to them, and that emotions are the natural consequence. Something goes wrong, and they feel despair. Someone criticizes them, and they feel humiliation. A misfortune strikes, and they feel panic. But these are not the events themselves. They are the interpretations you give them. A single event can provoke many different emotions, depending on who you are and how you choose to perceive it. Two people can face the same challenge, and one crumbles in fear while the other responds with calm and clarity. The difference lies not in the event, but in the mind. The first step to mastering your emotions is awareness. When a feeling arises, do not immediately act upon it. Observe it. Name it. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What thought created this feeling? Does it serve me, or does it control me? In this pause, you find power. You find the space to choose your response rather than being swept away. Emotions are like waves. They rise, they crash, they recede. You do not need to be carried by every wave. You can watch them, let them pass, and decide how to move forward. Anger is a choice. Fear is a choice. Jealousy, grief, resentment, they are all choices. No one can make you angry unless you agree to it in your mind. No circumstance can terrify you unless you give it permission through your own imagination. By understanding this, you reclaim the freedom that most people give away unknowingly. You realize that emotions are tools, not masters. They can inform you, guide you, even motivate you, but only if you keep them under the command of reason. Otherwise, they dominate, and you become a servant to every passing thought. This mastery does not mean suppressing or ignoring emotions. It does not mean pretending you are unaffected or denying your humanity. It means recognizing the source of every feeling and deciding whether to let it govern your actions or simply acknowledge it and move forward. Pain can be felt without suffering. Anger can arise without destruction. Loss can touch the heart without breaking the mind. The key is understanding that emotions are born from your choices, not from the world itself. Life constantly presents situations that trigger emotional reactions. People act unfairly, accidents happen, expectations fail, and fortune shifts unpredictably. If you are ruled by emotions, each event becomes a storm, tossing you in all directions. But if you understand that you choose your emotions, you navigate the same events with steady hands. You are like a captain who cannot control the waves, but can steer the ship calmly through them. You learn to respond with wisdom instead of reacting with instinct, with patience instead of panic, with understanding instead of resentment. Training the mind to choose emotions over being chosen by them requires discipline. It requires reflection, practice, and persistence. You must constantly remind yourself that the feeling is not a decree of fate. It is a signal from your own mind. You can change the signal, reinterpret it, or redirect it towards something constructive. The more you practice this, the less power external events have over your inner life. You find a peace that does not depend on circumstances, a clarity that is immune to insult, and a strength that no misfortune can undo. By seeing emotions as choices, you begin to live deliberately. You begin to act according to reason and virtue, rather than impulse and reaction. You no longer drift at the mercy of fortune or opinion. You decide the meaning of every event, the weight of every loss, and the direction of every thought. You become the master of your inner world, and in doing so, you gain a power that the outside world cannot touch. Pain is a part of life. It comes to everyone, without exception. Bodies weaken, losses occur, relationships fail, and expectations are shattered. No one escapes discomfort or suffering. Yet the difference between those who endure life with strength and those who are broken by it lies not in the pain itself, but in how they respond. Pain is temporary. It is fleeting, passing like a shadow across the ground. Your reaction, however, can leave a permanent mark on your mind, your character, and your life. The moment discomfort arises, you have a choice. You can allow it to dominate you, to twist your thoughts, to shape your mood, to dictate your actions. Or you can face it, accept it, and respond with reason. Most people react instinctively, as if pain is a command rather than a circumstance. A harsh word triggers anger. A failure triggers despair. A betrayal triggers bitterness. These reactions multiply the suffering far beyond the original event. The mind compounds what the body feels. The initial pain may be small, but an uncontrolled reaction turns it into a mountain. Consider the nature of pain itself. Physical pain will fade with time. Emotional pain will soften as understanding grows. Loss, though deep, can be honored and learned from. The events themselves are impermanent. They pass, they change, they evolve. But the way we respond to them, the stories we tell ourselves, the grudges we hold, the fears we cultivate, these can remain embedded in us, shaping our character, dictating our choices, and chaining our future to the past. Recognizing this is crucial. Suffering is unavoidable, but needless suffering is optional. The mind can transform pain into strength. When hardship arrives, pause and examine it. Ask yourself, what is within my power here? How can I respond in a way that maintains my calm and my purpose? Pain can teach patience, resilience, humility, and insight. If you allow it to overwhelm you, it teaches nothing but weakness. By choosing a measured response, by controlling the reaction, you turn every trial into an opportunity for growth. What is temporary can become permanent, not as suffering, but as wisdom and fortitude. The key is preparation and practice. Life will never be free of pain, but you can train your mind to meet it without losing composure. Small discomforts are practice grounds, a delayed train, a rude comment, a minor setback. Respond to these with calm and reason. Observe your impulses, correct your thoughts, adjust your attitude. Every time you do this, you strengthen the mind's ability to remain steady when the greater storms come. The more you practice, the more habitual calm becomes, until even the most severe pain cannot break you. Reactions are chains or wings. They either imprison you in anger, despair, and fear, or they lift you to clarity, patience, and freedom. People often mistake intensity for honesty, believing that strong emotions prove authenticity. But uncontrolled reactions only prove weakness. True mastery is to feel fully, yet respond wisely. The fire of life may burn, but it does not have to consume. You can stand within the flames unshaken, because your mind is anchored in reason, not instinct. Life's greatest lessons are rarely gentle. Illness, loss, rejection, failure. These test every fiber of character. If your mind reacts carelessly, the tests break you. If your mind reacts deliberately, the same tests refine you. Pain cannot last forever, but the memory of your reaction can. Respond with anger, and it can haunt you for years, shaping resentment and regret. Respond with calm, and it becomes a seed of resilience that grows stronger with each trial. Understanding that pain is temporary, while reactions are lasting, allows you to reclaim freedom. You stop giving power to circumstances, and you start taking responsibility for your mind. You learn that hardship is unavoidable, but suffering is a choice. The more consciously you respond, the less life can disturb your peace, and the more every challenge becomes an opportunity to demonstrate strength, wisdom, and virtue. The world is full of chaos, noise, and disturbance. People speak harshly, act selfishly, and disappoint in ways that seem endless. Accidents happen, plans fail, and circumstances shift without warning. Most individuals allow these external events to dictate their inner state. They hand over their peace to fortune, to opinion, to circumstance, and then wonder why they are restless, anxious, or angry. The truth is simple but profound. Nothing outside you can harm your inner peace unless you give it permission. Your calm is your own. It is not borrowed from the world, and it cannot be stolen by it. Peace is not something found in favorable conditions. It is a state cultivated within the mind. When a person insults you, it is not the insult itself that wounds, but the belief that it defines you. When misfortune strikes, it is not the event itself that disturbs, but the judgment that it has power over your life. The world will continue to act as it always has, indifferent to your preferences. Chaos will persist. Others will behave poorly. Fortune will shift. If your peace depends on these things, it will always be fragile. But if your peace rests in your own reason and understanding, it is unshakable. The mind is the citadel of freedom. Inside it, no force outside can dictate your feelings or actions unless you allow it. This is not a denial of reality. It is not pretending that hardship or insult does not exist. It is acknowledging the fact that the true battle is always within. Events happen, but they are neutral. It is the interpretation of these events that creates suffering. The same loss may crush one person and strengthen another. The same criticism may devastate one mind and enlighten another. The difference lies not in the world, but in the mind that perceives it. Every day, circumstances will tempt you to surrender your calm. Traffic jams, disagreements, failures, illness, or betrayal. They all demand a reaction. The untrained mind will erupt in frustration, despair, or resentment. The trained mind will pause, reflect, and respond with clarity and reason. Peace is not a gift from life. It is a reward of discipline, understanding, and self-mastery. Those who hand over their serenity to chance live at the mercy of every change, while those who hold it within remain steadfast. The practice of holding your peace requires constant vigilance. When insult arises, notice it without immediately reacting. When adversity appears, observe it without panic. Ask yourself, does this belong to me, or does it belong to the world? If it belongs to the world, let it remain there. Your energy, your focus, and your calm are yours to guard. You will discover that much of what once seemed threatening is insignificant when measured against the strength of a mind that cannot be disturbed from within. Inner peace does not mean ignoring injustice, avoiding responsibility, or being passive. It means responding from a place of clarity rather than reaction. It allows you to act decisively when necessary, speak truthfully when required, and resist harm without being harmed internally. Those who possess this discipline do not rage at the storm. They navigate through it with unbroken composure. They do not allow failure to define them, nor do they allow success to inflate them. The mind is anchored, and no external force can shake it. Those who understand this principle live differently. They walk through life unburdened by the opinions of others, unafraid of misfortune, and untroubled by unexpected change. They value what is theirs, their reason, their judgment, their integrity, and release everything else. External events are no longer threats but neutral occurrences, and because of this, the inner citadel remains untouched. The power of the mind becomes evident when properly trained. It shields the soul, preserves dignity, and sustains tranquility even in the most turbulent circumstances. Life is full of things beyond your control. The seasons change, people act according to their own will, health fluctuates, fortune shifts, and events unfold in ways you could never predict. To resist these realities is to invite frustration, anger, and suffering. The moment you understand that some things simply cannot be changed, you gain freedom. Acceptance is not weakness, it is clarity. It is recognizing the boundary between what is within your power and what lies beyond it, and focusing your energy only where it can produce results. Many people waste their lives resisting reality. They rage against misfortune, they argue against injustice, they grieve over what has already passed. Yet all of this effort is like trying to push the tide back with your hands. No matter how forcefully you act, events will continue as they will. Acceptance does not mean indifference, nor does it mean resignation. It means understanding the natural course of life and acting wisely within it. It is seeing clearly which battles are worth fighting and which are simply wasteful. Accepting what you cannot change does not mean giving up on what you can influence. It does not mean tolerating harm or neglecting responsibility. On the contrary, it allows you to act with clarity, without distraction from the impossible. When you accept that some things are fixed by nature, by circumstance, or by the will of others, you conserve your strength for the areas where your choices, efforts, and reason can have an impact. This is where true power resides, and where your influence can be effective. Life is unpredictable. Illness strikes, loved ones depart, opportunities vanish, and the world unfolds in ways that defy our expectations. To accept this is to meet life with resilience rather than resistance. It is to see events as they are, not as you wish them to be. When disappointment comes, it no longer breaks you. When change arrives, it no longer shakes your foundation. Your mind becomes like a lake, reflecting events without being disturbed by them, steady even as the wind blows across the surface. Acceptance is also a form of wisdom. When you attempt to control the uncontrollable, you waste energy, you cultivate frustration, and you blind yourself to what is real. But when you accept reality as it is, you see more clearly. You recognize opportunities, avoid unnecessary conflict, and respond to challenges with reason rather than reaction. You understand that life does not owe you comfort, fairness, or certainty, and in this understanding you find peace. The practice of acceptance begins with observation. Notice when your thoughts resist reality, when your emotions rebel against circumstance, when your will attempts to bend what cannot be bent. Pause and ask yourself, is this within my control? If it is not, release it, let it go. Do not allow your mind to be enslaved by impossibility. Each time you practice this, you strengthen your inner freedom, cultivating a mind that remains calm amidst turmoil, composed amidst uncertainty, and resilient amidst change. Acceptance does not remove the pain of events, nor does it erase the challenges you face. What it does is remove the unnecessary suffering caused by futile resistance. A loss may still hurt, a failure may still sting, a betrayal may still wound, but your response is no longer amplified by denial or rage. You meet life on its own terms, responding with reason, patience, and courage. You conserve your energy for what is meaningful, and you prevent external circumstances from dictating the quality of your inner life. Those who master acceptance live differently. They do not fight endlessly against reality. They do not waste their strength resisting the inevitable. They see the world clearly, act where they can, release what they cannot, and preserve their inner peace. In this practice, they discover that life is not a series of obstacles to be overcome through futile force, but a series of challenges to be met with clarity, wisdom, and equanimity. Life is full of obstacles. They appear unexpectedly, in forms both large and small. Some are obvious, like loss, illness, or betrayal. Others are subtle, like misunderstandings, delays, or minor frustrations. Most people view obstacles as interruptions, as annoyances, as punishments. They fight them, complain about them, or try to avoid them altogether. But a mind trained in reason sees obstacles differently. Every obstacle is a teacher, offering lessons that cannot be learned any other way. What appears as a burden is actually an opportunity for growth, and the true test is whether we choose to learn or to resist. Obstacles are impartial. They do not seek to harm or to reward. They simply exist. It is the mind that interprets them as misfortune or challenge. A difficult circumstance, when faced with resentment, becomes suffering. The same circumstance, when faced with reflection and patience, becomes wisdom. The Stoic understands that obstacles are not enemies but mirrors. They reflect the weaknesses in our character, the impulses in our thoughts, the habits in our reactions. Each obstacle points to an area where mastery is needed, an area where the mind, if trained, can grow stronger. When an obstacle arises, the first step is to pause and observe it clearly. Identify its nature without exaggeration or fear. Understand what is within your control and what is not. Most obstacles contain both aspects. The event itself may be beyond your influence, but your response, your choices, your attitude, these are always yours. By focusing on what can be controlled, the obstacle transforms from an enemy into a teacher. It offers an opportunity to practice patience, courage, discipline, and wisdom. Challenges reveal the mind as it truly is. When tested, people reveal impatience, anger, fear, or despair. The same situations reveal others to be calm, disciplined, and resilient. An obstacle does not create virtue, it uncovers what is already within. By treating every difficulty as a lesson, you develop the habit of learning from life itself rather than resisting it. Each setback teaches reflection, each failure teaches humility, and each hardship teaches endurance. Nothing is wasted when approached with the right mindset. Obstacles are also opportunities to practice virtue. When faced with unfairness, you practice justice. When confronted with insult, you practice patience. When burdened by loss, you practice resilience. The obstacle itself is neutral, but it provides a stage for action. It asks the question, who will you be in this moment? Will you succumb to weakness, or will you rise to strength? Will you react blindly, or will you respond thoughtfully? By facing challenges deliberately, you exercise the muscles of the mind, and the more you practice, the stronger they become. The mind that views obstacles as teachers is rarely surprised, rarely angry, rarely defeated. It expects difficulty because difficulty is part of life. It does not cling to ease or comfort as if they were permanent. When a problem appears, it is greeted with the calm assessment of a student facing a lesson. The struggle itself becomes meaningful, and the response itself becomes the measure of character. By learning from obstacles rather than resisting them, every hardship adds to wisdom, every trial strengthens virtue, and every difficulty becomes an opportunity to advance. Even small obstacles matter. The everyday annoyances, the mistakes of others, delays, misunderstandings, inconveniences, offer constant practice for the mind. They are reminders that life will always present challenges, and they teach patience, tolerance, and focus. The larger obstacles, while more intense, are no different in essence. They reveal the mind's capacity for endurance and its potential for growth. Life, in its entirety, is a classroom, and obstacles are the lessons that ensure no student remains stagnant. Those who embrace this principle live differently. They do not see difficulty as a punishment or injustice. They do not waste energy resisting what is inevitable. They view every obstacle as a teacher, every challenge as a classroom, and every trial as a chance to practice the virtues they value. In this way, obstacles are not merely endured. They are used, transformed into tools for wisdom, strength, and freedom. Life is full of events, people, and circumstances that demand attention, yet most of these are beyond our control. The weather may ruin plans, people may act unfairly, or fortune may shift in ways we cannot predict. To spend energy worrying, resenting, or struggling against what is beyond our influence is to invite frustration and weakness. True strength comes from learning to focus only on what is within your control and letting go of everything else. Your choices, your actions, your thoughts, your responses, these are yours. The rest belongs to the world, and the world will act according to its own rules, regardless of your desires. The moment you understand this distinction, life becomes simpler and more powerful. Instead of reacting to every insult, setback, or disappointment, you turn your energy inward. You ask, what can I do here? What choice can I make that is mine alone? This mindset does not deny reality. It does not pretend that hardship or challenge does not exist. It simply recognizes that energy spent on what cannot be changed is wasted, and energy directed toward what can be influenced is productive and freeing. When you act in this way, your mind becomes a tool of purpose, rather than a victim of circumstance. Most suffering comes from attempting to control what cannot be controlled. People try to influence the thoughts, actions, and feelings of others. They resist natural events, complain against fortune, and dwell on what has already passed. Every moment spent on these futile efforts is a moment taken from the cultivation of virtue and wisdom. By focusing only on what is yours, your judgment, your decisions, your effort, you conserve strength and maintain peace. The world may rage around you, but your mind remains steady. This focus requires constant vigilance. Every day, circumstances will test it. Someone may insult you, and the instinct may be to react angrily. A plan may fail, and the impulse may be to despair. In these moments, ask yourself, is this under my control? Can my reaction change the event itself? If the answer is no, then release the event from your mind and focus on how you can respond wisely. Your control is in your response, not in the external occurrence. By mastering this, you turn apparent limitations into freedom. Focusing on what you can control also sharpens action. When you waste effort on what is beyond influence, action becomes scattered, indecisive, and ineffective. When you focus on your choices, effort, and thoughts, action becomes precise, deliberate, and meaningful. You act according to reason, not impulse. You act according to principle, not fear. The mind becomes a disciplined instrument, capable of responding effectively to life rather than being dragged by it. This principle is not passive. It is not surrender. On the contrary, it is empowerment. By recognizing what is yours to direct, you act with clarity, intention, and strength. By releasing what is not, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering, distraction, and resentment. Every challenge then becomes manageable. Every difficulty is met with reason. Every loss is faced with equanimity. By focusing on what you can control, you transform obstacles into opportunities, setbacks into lessons, and life itself into a practice of mastery. The discipline of control also builds resilience. External events will always fluctuate. People will act unpredictably. Fortune will shift. Plans will fail. By focusing only on your own mind and your own actions, you ensure that these fluctuations do not disturb your inner stability. You become like a tree rooted deep, unshaken by wind, unbroken by storms. The outside world may rage, but your center remains secure. This principle, once understood and practiced, becomes the foundation of a strong, serene, and free mind. Life may bring surprises, challenges, and misfortune, but the person who acts only on what is within control cannot be broken. Their power lies not in changing the world, but in mastering themselves. Their peace is not borrowed from circumstance, but grown within. Their strength is not dependent on fortune, but rooted in reason, discipline, and clarity. Everything we experience in life begins in the mind. The world presents events, people, and circumstances, but it is your thoughts that give these experiences meaning. Two people can encounter the same situation, and one will see disaster while the other sees opportunity. One will feel despair while the other finds hope. The difference lies not in the event itself, but in the interpretation of it. Your thoughts, the stories you tell yourself, and the judgments you make shape your reality far more than the external world ever can. Most people live unconsciously, allowing thoughts to arise without examination and accepting them as truth. A single negative thought can color the entire day, magnifying small annoyances into intolerable burdens. Worry about the future, regret over the past, and fear of the unknown dominate minds that are untrained. In this state, reality becomes a reflection of uncontrolled thought. The world appears hostile, unfair, and unmanageable, not because it truly is, but because the mind perceives it that way. The Stoic approach is to recognize that thoughts are within your control. You cannot always control events, but you can control what you think about them. You can choose to see obstacles as teachers rather than punishments. You can choose to view criticism as information rather than attack. You can choose to respond to loss with reflection and growth rather than anger or despair. By mastering your thoughts, you take control of the narrative of your life, and in doing so, you shape your reality. Every thought is like a seed planted in the mind. Some seeds grow into weeds of fear, anger, and resentment. Others grow into trees of wisdom, courage, and serenity. Which seeds you cultivate determines the quality of your life experience. A mind filled with destructive thoughts sees every challenge as unbearable, every failure as final, and every difficulty as personal attack. A mind filled with reasoned, constructive thoughts sees the same events as opportunities for growth, as lessons to learn, and as moments to practice virtue. The world is unchanged, but the perception is transformed. Controlling your thoughts requires constant awareness. When a negative or destructive thought arises, pause and examine it. Ask yourself, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Does it serve my purpose? If the answer is no, discard it. Redirect your mind toward reason, clarity, and constructive action. By doing this repeatedly, the mind becomes disciplined, capable of perceiving reality accurately and responding appropriately. Reality itself has not changed, but your experience of it has shifted dramatically. The power of thought extends to expectations as well. Many people suffer not because of what happens, but because of what they imagine should happen. They create ideals, projections, and fantasies in the mind, and then measure reality against them. When reality fails to match the expectation, disappointment, anger, or sadness arises. By managing your thoughts and adjusting your expectations to align with what is within reason, you prevent unnecessary suffering and cultivate resilience. You accept life as it is, not as you wish it to be, and you shape your reality through calm judgment rather than illusion. Thoughts also influence action. A mind clouded by fear, anger, or resentment will act poorly, make mistakes, and create more problems. A mind guided by clarity, reason, and foresight will act with precision, prudence, and effectiveness. Your outer life is the reflection of your inner thinking. To improve the world around you, start with the world within you. Master your mind, and you master your response to every challenge, every opportunity, and every circumstance. Understanding that your thoughts shape reality is liberating. You are never a passive victim of circumstance. No event has intrinsic power to harm or destroy you. It is your interpretation, your judgment, and your mental response that define its impact. When you realize this, you see that freedom and peace are not found in controlling the outside world, but in mastering the inner world of thought. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty, danger, or the unknown, yet it is not a command from the world. It is not imposed upon you by fate, circumstance, or the actions of others. Fear is born in the mind, created by the stories you tell yourself, the judgments you make, and the interpretations you assign to events. It arises when the mind imagines the worst, anticipates harm, or exaggerates danger. Every fear is a reaction, a choice to believe in the power of an imagined threat, rather than confronting reality with reason. Recognizing this is the first step toward freedom. Most people treat fear as an unavoidable condition, as if it is proof of weakness, or a signal of inevitable disaster. They allow it to dominate their thoughts, control their decisions, and limit their actions. Fear whispers, "You cannot endure this. You will fail. You are not safe." If believed, it paralyzes, it shapes behavior, prevents growth, and limits potential. Yet, fear itself is not truth. It is a creation of the mind, a shadow cast by imagination, and its power over you exists only if you consent to it. Courage, in contrast, is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to act despite fear, to rise above instinctive reaction, and to respond with reason and purpose. Courage is a deliberate decision. It is a recognition that fear is a signal, not a sentence, and that the mind has the capacity to meet challenge with resolve. Every act of courage begins with a moment of choice, to react with panic, or to respond with strength. When the mind chooses courage, it transforms fear from an obstacle into a guide, showing where action, vigilance, or preparation is required. The practice of courage requires awareness. Notice when fear arises and question it. Ask yourself, is this fear based on reality or imagination? Can I control the outcome, or is it beyond me? Fear often exaggerates what is unlikely and underestimates your own capacity to endure. By examining it, the mind can separate truth from illusion, danger from possibility, and threat from perception. Courage emerges naturally when fear is seen clearly, and the mind understands its source and its limits. Life constantly presents opportunities to practice courage. Every challenge, every confrontation, every risk, large or small, is a moment to choose action over reaction. Fear may whisper, telling you to avoid, to retreat, to remain safe. Courage speaks quietly but firmly, reminding you that action guided by reason, principle, and purpose is stronger than avoidance. Each choice strengthens the mind, builds resilience, and reinforces the habit of responding with wisdom rather than being dominated by fear. Fear also limits vision. It narrows thought, clouds judgment, and magnifies potential harm while minimizing opportunity. Courage expands perspective. It allows the mind to see clearly, to consider risks realistically, and to act decisively. Courage is not reckless. It is informed, deliberate, and disciplined. It does not deny danger, but it refuses to be controlled by it. It recognizes that what matters is not the absence of threat, but the mastery of response. Every act of courage transforms the mind. It reinforces the principle that fear is not inevitable, and that the power to act wisely always rests within. By choosing courage repeatedly, fear loses its authority, and the mind becomes steady, composed, and resilient. You begin to understand that life's uncertainties are not barriers, but opportunities to exercise strength. Courage becomes a habit, and fear becomes a tool, a signal to guide reason rather than a master to control action. When fear is seen as reaction and courage as choice, the mind becomes free. No circumstance can immobilize it, no danger can intimidate it, and no uncertainty can dominate it. The world may be unpredictable, and life may be difficult, but the mind is sovereign over its reactions. Strength, clarity, and freedom are cultivated not by avoiding fear, but by meeting it intentionally, thoughtfully, and deliberately.